Hey guys, this is Stephen from LostAlone and you're listening to Mr. Morgan Richards on RadioCardiff 98.7 FM.
Hey, I'm Morgan Richards from RadioCardiff 98.7 FM, and I'm very pleased to say that I'm backstage at the Fleece here in Bristol. I'm joined by the wonderful Stephen from LostAlone.
How you doing?
Hey man, you right?
Yeah, I'm great, thank you. Happy to be here with you.
Yeah?
Yep, very happy. Final date of the tour. So actually a little bit sad. So completely contradicting what I've just said, in fact. But yeah, happy to talk about our record anyway. So yeah.
Okay, right, fair enough. So you guys have just recently announced that you're all set to finally release your third full-length studio album, Shapes of Screams, on April the 7th. And I bet you guys can't wait for it to finally be released because you finished writing it almost a year ago.
Yeah, I feel like it's been a bit of a trademark of our band that we tend to have everything finished and then some kind of dramatic event will occur that will actually mean that the record doesn't come out at the... I think what I'm trying to say is that I've always had this dream that like you could write a record in a week and release it the next week, so it's the most current thing you've done. Whereas that never really happens for anyone, like even when we went away and recorded the record, you still... There's one song that's older than the last album, but then 8 of the songs I literally wrote in 2 weeks. So, it's always a weird thing. And then when it actually, the point now where we'll come, when it comes out, it will be a year since we started recording it. It's just I think it's kind of strange. The modern age has made things faster, but it's also in this kind of thing, because you have to have everything so right for release. And there's certain points that are deemed correct to release a rock record. I'd have released it for Christmas because I love Christmas, but you don't do that. April's the time for us. So yeah, it does feel a bit strange, but it also feels very normal for us.
Okay, yeah, that's fair enough. And not so long ago, you released a brand new single in The Bells. That would be the main track released from this album. With a lot of fans giving it some great feedback and saying that they're very excited to see what you guys have in store for the rest of the record. Yeah,
I think the three of us, when I wrote The Bells, we were very... whatever else came out, we were like, we want that to be the first thing people hear. Because you always have like between records, as I think we have, there's always a song that is the kind of, I'll be writing new songs, but then one will go, oh right, okay, that's pushed it to the wave beyond what we were before. So and I was really, really happy when the reaction was like so positive from fans of the band, and then from just by putting that out there, just new people. More than anything we've ever done before, it seemed to suddenly get people going, oh wow, or maybe I've heard that name before, but I wasn't quite sure they were kind of capable of that, or I don't know, how people thought of us, but I was really excited, and it's definitely instantly brought a whole new kind of, I think, respect to our band, and from other bands as well, actually. It was really, really nice feeling, yeah.
Yeah, and the track seems a little bit different than some of the previous stuff you guys have released in the past, with it being a little bit darker and having a lot more big guitar parts. Do you think that's a good representative of what we can expect from the rest of the record?
Yeah, well, I mean, I wanted to call the album Guitar for ages. It was just going to be called Guitar, because it's kind of strange, because, I mean, we are a guitar band, and it's very live, that's very apparent, but I kind of feel that maybe in hindsight, the first, especially the last album, which I love, and I love the songs, but I wrote the last album just demoing straight into GarageBand, and I realised in hindsight now, they're very much just kind of like songs that I can tell were done that way. Whereas this album, I made a point of like only going to demo stuff after there's a fully formed song in my head. I hadn't even touched an instrument, and I just wanted to, I kind of guess what I'm trying to say, yes is the answer. I wanted it to be a guitar record, because that's what all the comments when our live reviews always mention guitar, and I think that I love all music, but I think that like after Nirvana, it's taken a very long time, and who I love, but it's taken a very long time for it to be a cool thing to be a very capable musician. That kind of, even though that's a long time ago now, but it really, went for a long time where it was like doing fancy guitar stuff or whatever was like, whoa, that's not cool. And now, like, I don't even see myself as a great guitar player, but other people do, which is really nice, because I'd much rather somebody come up and go, which they are doing at the moment, oh my god, I love that, guitar, and then coming up and going, I like your hair, which to me is just like, I don't care about that. Yeah. I want people to talk about songs and the melodies and the playing, because that's what I love. I love music.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's fair enough.
I'm not sure if that even answered the question, but I just go off on rants about stuff.
Okay. Now you guys will actually be releasing the album through Pledge Music, which is of course is a website that lets bands take complete control of everything from the recording right down to its release, with the help of fans pledging to help make the record happen. So far, have you guys found it much easier working with a site like this?
Yeah, I mean, I was very reluctant to use it actually to start with, because there's a kind of, I had the moral issue of, are we asking people who like our band too much here? But also we're actually on a label, a small label, but we're on a label, so the idea for us was we actually had the money. The Pledge thing hasn't necessarily funded us making the record. We made it before, you still don't get the money from Pledge till you release. But what it did for us was, and I've spoken to a few bands who've done it like this, you always have the same conversation with Pledge, and they explain it so well. All you're effectively doing is just going, here's a pre-order, but we're actually giving you way more than you'd get. And we didn't want to do anything. We made ours so it wasn't anything that you wouldn't necessarily not just get with a normal pre-order. Do you know what I mean? It was the usual things. It was like a vinyl or with a t-shirt, things that you'd get anyway on a pre-order, and then some house shows, and then just cool things. But yeah, I definitely found from the second it went up, I became convinced, because as soon as I started seeing fans actually go, we love this stuff and we want to be involved, I was like, this is a brilliant thing. And we were on Warner Brothers in America until everyone we worked with was sacked, and that's why we're not on them anymore. And I lived 18 months of not sleeping constantly, because we were signed in America, like constantly living the UK and then the American time zones, and just feeling so disconnected with a major label that, I think the Jared Leto film Artifact is incredible. I don't know if you've seen it, but everyone should watch it, because that explains absolutely perfectly why Pledge is great and why major labels now are just a dinosaur that is dying. And it works for some people who are already massive, but guarantee massive bands now come to end their contracts will not re-sign with majors. There's no point. They're just a complete, like, they should be in an archaeological dig. There's nothing to bring to the table apart from things that you can actually, if you're doing well, you can source yourself. You can get PR, you can get radio pluggers, you can do that. They'll just end up being distribution, which is the one avenue that, if it's still a physical thing, they are good at. They've got the pipeline into every territory. But so to answer your question, the major factor for me is with Pledge, I just feel relaxed. I know exactly what's going on. I know exactly everything about it. With the smaller label, everyone, they're doing it because they love the music. With a major label, I'm not saying there's not great people there, but for the majority, it's people worried about their jobs, and then the people at the top, it's the bottom line. It's about money. It's not about music anymore. It's not the 70s when it was, give bands a chance to fail on 4 albums, and then have a hit on a 5th. Now you stand no chance, if I'm released on a major and didn't do well, then they're over, Yeah,
because a lot of bands nowadays seem to be doing more stuff like this, and it's also a great way for the fans to feel really involved in part of the album.
I think it's kind of win-win, because it's your fan. If I could survive solely on just going direct to fans and going literally on Twitter, hey guys, just wrote an album today, because I'm very prolific and I see this as the future. Music is my living, so I can't just go, here it is. But if you love my band, or if you just love my music, here's a solo album. You can download an album now. It's £5. Go for it. That'll make people like myself and artists, you don't have to it doesn't have to be like you're some million-selling band. That'll mean that artists you love can keep being the artists, because the reality is it's harder now. Like the last, a band like Muse or something, probably the last Muse, Biffy, bands like that, the last bands that the major label system worked for them, because they're allowed to develop. Look at Biffy, how long it took them to get to the level they are now. A new band today is not going to be given that opportunity. No. It's just not at all, and it's horrid. But that era's gone now, where a label will develop a band for years and just believe in the music. It's a lot more exciting with the things like Pledge and Kickstarter, and then, to be honest, things like the guy who owns Red Bull, who's like, he doesn't care if he fails. He's like, I like that. I'll just keep pumping money into it. And I think you're going to find things like that, like companies, self-made guys, or men and women who've made money, like maybe like yourself or me. If I had like millions of pounds, I'd be like, oh, I love that band, you know what, I'm just going to fund them. And that's I think it's going to be things like that. And Red Bull's a great example, because they made Twin Atlantic massive, because they just went, just keep pumping it in, and great band doing great with great support,
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright, cool. That's fair enough. Now, you guys actually